Hi one and all, welcome back. Malomedic here. So today we'll be dealing with the part 2 of Animal Kingdom, which is a chapter in plus 1 zoology. So I hope you have learned the name of the phylums in the descending order from Porifera to Chordata. You have to learn this because today we are dealing with the major criterions of classification of these phylums. So let's begin. So what are the major criterions? Let us see with the first criteria, which is the levels of organization. As you all know, let me explain a concept to you. You know that a cell is the basic unit of life, and the cells with similar functions and structure come together to function as a tissue. And a group of tissues having the same functions and structure groups together to form an organ. And a group of organs contribute to become the organ system. Alright, so this is the concept, and as I always say, you have to learn the names of the phylums in the descending order from Porifera to Chordata, because all this is part and parcel of evolution. Alright, so Porifera, then few developments happens within that, and then we get the next phylum, which is the Cnidarians, then the Ctenophora, and this is all a part of a chain. So you have to learn in that manner. So we have levels of organization: cellular level, tissue grade level, organ level, and organ system level. And now it's time to classify the phylums into this. So phylum Porifera, the members in that shows cellular level of organization, and in tissue grade we have Cnidarians and Ctenophora. And now with the organ level, here we have the platyhelminth. And organ system level, type of level is exhibited by the phylums from Aschelminth to Chordates. Aschelminth, Annelida, Echinodermata, all this falls under organ system level of classification. I hope this is clear to you. Now let us move on. Classification based on the type of symmetry. Now what do we understand by symmetry? For example, let this be a square. If I am cutting this square in this plane, you get two equal halves on both sides, right? No matter how I cut this, if I cut this in this diagonal plane, then also I am getting a two equal halves. So asymmetric organisms are those organisms that no matter what plane you cut, you can't get two equal halves. So normally phylum Porifera exhibits asymmetric type of symmetry. Alright, they don't have symmetry at all. Now symmetric has got two types: the radial symmetry and the bilateral symmetry. The radial symmetry is something wherein you can cut the organism in any plane. No matter in which plane you cut the organism, you get two equal halves. So what are the phylums which belong to this category? We have Cnidarians, Ctenophora, and some Echinodermata. Not all, but some Echinodermata also falls in this category. The rest of them belongs to bilateral symmetry. In bilateral symmetry, you can cut the organism in only one plane. Then you get equal halves. Alright. Apart from these, all other phylums falls in bilateral symmetry of organization. Let's move on. Now based on the number of germ layers. So what do you understand by the name germ layers? First of all, let me tell you, there are three germ layers. These are ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. So ectoderm is the outermost layer. Mesoderm lies in the middle. So it's easy to remember, MM. Endoderm lies in the innermost. Alright, so what are these germ layers? So you know the male and the female gametes fuse, which is fertilization, to form zygote. And once the zygote is formed, it undergoes mitosis, repeated mitosis, and it enlarges in size, and it also divides to form several cells. Am I right? So then we call it as embryo. This embryo undergoes differentiation either to become 2-layered cells or 3-layered cells. If it is 2-layered cell, then we call it diploblastic. Now, see, for example, let me illustrate. This is one layer. I'll give a color for that. So in green, you have one layer, and inside the innermost layer, you have in red, suppose. Okay, this is the diploblastic condition. Alright, this is the diploblastic condition, and it has got 2 layers, the outer ectoderm and the inner endoderm. This is the diploblastic condition. And we have porifera, and the poriferans are diploblastic. We also have cnidarians and ctenophora. Phylum Porifera, cnidaria and ctenophora belongs to diploblastic condition. Now, if it develops into 3 layers, then we call it as triploblastic. So it will have 3 layers. Mind, this is the first outermost layer, this is the innermost layer. Let us give them the color. Okay, in green you have the ectoderm, then in red you have the endoderm, and in between that we have okay, suppose in blue you have the endoderm. So you get 3 layers. This is triploblastic. Alright. So now that you have learned about diploblastic and triploblastic, sorry, I forgot to mention, from platyhelminth to chordata, you have triploblastic condition. So I hope you have, at present you have this knowledge about the different germ layers. Actually, it's an extension of the embryo. Now, let us move on. Based on the nature of coelom. Now, what do you understand by the term coelom? The coelom is actually a cavity. And this we classify based on coelom only on triploblastic animals. Triploblastic animals. Those are from platyhelminth to chordates. So the first criteria is acoelomate, that is without a coelom. So those are poriferans, then cnidarians and ctenophora, because they are diploblastic organisms. They don't even have the primary triploblastic condition to explain whether coelom or not. So they don't have a coelom and they belong to acoelomate condition. Now, what about this pseudocoelomate condition? So, in pseudocoelomate condition, actually you have pouches of mesoderm, living spaces for cavity. For example, I'll give you an illustration. Suppose, so in red we drew the endoderm, then in green we drew the ectoderm. Now, okay, I'm not filling it up. Then in blue we drew the mesoderm, right? Here mesoderm is seen in pouches. Alright. Here the mesoderm is seen in pouches. So what happens? There will be cavities in between the pouches, right? Which is the coelom. and they are the pseudocoelomate organisms. An example for pseudocoelomate are platyhelminth. You need to remember this. And now coming to coelomate organisms. What are coelomate organisms? Having coelom or true coelom. Alright, I'll give you an illustration. So this is our ectoderm, then we have our inner endoderm, and here is our mesoderm. The mesoderm actually splits over here. Fine, you have to color them. Okay, I'm not coloring it fully in order to save some time. Alright, I'm just giving the notation in colors so that you can differentiate. Fine. So, alright, so this is the coelomatic condition. Now, we also have two types of coeloms. The first one is the schizocoelomate condition. Schizocoelomate. And then we have the eucoelomate condition. So, in schizocoelomate condition, the mesoderm splits from here the coelom is formed from splitting of mesoderm. This term is just important. Splitting of mesoderm. Okay. So, what are the phylums belonging to schizocoelomate? Those are Annelida, from Annelida to Mollusca. See, you have to learn the name of the phylums because I am skipping few phylums by giving this symbol Annelida to Mollusca. So you need to remember there is arthropoda in between. So Annelida, arthropoda, Mollusca, they are schizocoelomatic in condition because here coelom is formed by splitting of mesoderm. See, you can see it over here, right? The mesoderm is actually split. Now we have another criteria. We call it as eucoelomate. So eucoelomate, here coelom is formed from the embryonic mesoderm. Alright. So the phylums which comes under eucoelomatic condition are the rest of them, from echinoderms to chordates. Fine, that completes the classification based on the nature of coelom. Now, based on the nature of segmentation, we have no metamerism, pseudo metamerism, and metamerism. Suppose, let me take an example of earthworm. Have you seen earthworm? Earthworm will have, its body will be segmented like this. Have you seen it? These are rings. So, its body is segmented. So, the phylums which fall in no metamerism are almost all the phylums. The Porifera, Cnidaria, Ctenophora, Porifera, Cnidaria, Ctenophora, almost all of them, Platyhelminth, Aschelminth, everyone just falls in no metamerism. Then the organism, the phylum which shows pseudometamerism, you can give an example of tapeworm. Tapeworm shows pseudometamerism. And which shows metamerism, we have Annelida. They show internal and external. The body outside is also segmented, and even inside its body it's segmented. Internal and external segmentation is present in Annelida. Then we have arthropoda. The phylum arthropoda, the insects, they are externally segmented. They have an external segmented body, whereas the chordata, they have internal segmented body. Alright, so that completes the classification based on segmentation. Let's move on. Now, based on the type of body plan. See, first of all, we have the cell aggregate body plan. We knew the cellular level of organization was seen in porifera, right? So, cell aggregate body plan is seen in poriferans. Now, blind sac body plan. What do we mean by blind sac body plan? Here, the body is like that of a sac. Alright. It's like that of a sac with the mouth and the anus opening being the same. Mouth and anus opening are the same. Which means food is taken through the same opening and the excreta or waste material are also expelled through the same opening. So, there is only one opening. And the phylums which come under them are Cnidarians, Ctenophora and Platyhelminth. So the rest of them falls under tube within tube body plan. That is from Achilminth to what? To Chordata you have tube within a tube body plan. For example, I will show you an example with the human body. In human body, from the mouth, suppose this is the head of a person, okay, from the mouth we have this in the digestive system, right? Digestive system, then we have the stomach, then we have the coils of small intestine, then it opens into the anus. So this is a tube. And then you have also the body, right? The body of the person. Sorry for my drawing, but see, this is a tube and this is another tube. So here we have a tube within a tube body plan. I hope you are getting the concepts. Now, let us see the division based on the type of digestive system. So we have incomplete digestive system and complete digestive system. Alright. So, in incomplete digestive system, the organ system level of organization was seen from which phylum? From Achilminth, right? So, organ level was seen from where? Platyhelminth. So, incomplete digestive system is seen in some Platyhelminth. We also call them by the name flatworms. And complete digestive system is seen in what? Achilminth to Chordata. So are you getting the classification right? Now let's move on. Now type of origin of mouth. See, during the development of a baby, things are happening one at a time, right? So we can classify the organisms based on the type of origin of mouth. Like whether mouth was formed first or anal opening was formed first. So protostomes, you have to be familiarized with all these terms. These are new to you. So protostomes, these are the organisms in which the mouth was developed first. Here mouth was developed first and then the anus opening was developed. So the phylums belonging to protostomes are Achilminth to mollusk. I'm also stressing right now, you have to learn the name of the phylums in the order from Porifera to what? To Chordata, because I have skipped here. See, protostomes are who? Not only Achilminth and mollusca, but in between you have the Annelida and Arthropoda, then you have the mollusca. Now, the rest of them falls under the category deuterostomes. Here, the anal opening was developed first and then the mouth was developed. So the rest of the organisms which extends from Echinodermata to Chordata is developed, they are deuterostomes. Now, type of circulatory system. We have two types of circulation, open circulatory system and closed circulatory system. First of all, let me tell you something about your closed circulatory system. For example, in us humans, we have the heart, right? And the heart is connected with several blood vessels. Am I right or wrong? Okay. So, suppose here we have a cell. So, the blood to the cell reaches through what? The artery. Reaches through the artery. And the blood from the cell reaches to the heart through what? A vein. Okay. I'll just color it up with blue and red so that it becomes easy for you to recognize. Alright, so this is closed circulation. And cells, two cells, we have an artery, and from cells to heart you have a vein. This is closed type of circulation. But in some animals we have the heart. But what happens over here is that we don't have blood vessels. The heart just pumps out blood, and all the cells and other organs are bathed in that. Alright, so this is the idea behind the type of circulatory system. So within open circulatory system we have few phylums like all arthropoda, all members of arthropoda, then hemichordata, and most of the mollusca. Alright, so they fall in this category. And now closed circulatory system, almost all annelid, most annelid, then you have the some mollusk, and then almost all chordata. So that's the classification based on the type of circulatory system. Now let us discuss the classification based on the notochord. So if you have notochord, then we call it as having notochord. Then the phylum which comes under having notochord is chordata, and the rest of the phylums from porifera to hemichordata, you don't have a notochord. Alright, so that completes the part 2 of animal kingdom. So you have to learn this. This is the part where most of the students struggle. So I chose this topic for animal kingdom. The rest of the phylums for porifera, annelida, you have to learn the peculiar points pertaining to that phylum. The rest of them you can learn this classification. Suppose you are getting a question on phylum porifera, then you can write all these points, whether based on notochord it's absent, then based on circulatory system we have open circulatory, then type of origin of mouth. See, they don't have, poriferans don't have mouth because they don't have organ level of organization. So that completes the chapter, and thank you for your patient listening.